Hello everyone, welcome to my first attempt at a video blog. I'm not guaranteeing this is going to be the most professional thing I've ever done in my life, but what the hell. What we are going to look at today is one of the biggest questions that I get asked when we're interviewing candidates for the order, and that is, how will initiation directly affect me? In a Masonic order, or an order that doesn't deal with magic in quite the same way, this isn't really an issue. You just go through the grades, you afterwards report that you had a wonderful experience, and you go home. The Golden Dawn does something else in its initiations. It carries out what we call psychic surgery, which is a method of working within the candidate's sphere of sensation or aura. This has a direct effect on their lives, and if it doesn't, then there's something wrong. So what we have to look at is, what are those sorts of changes that will come about as a result of an initiation. Now, in the elemental grades and the Naught, there is quite a lot that happens to a candidate, and this is because what we are trying to achieve here is to make sure that they are able to handle some of the higher powers which they'll encounter in the 5, 6 and adept grades later on. So in the Naught grade, all sorts of things happen. The candidate's sphere of sensation is changed, sealed, and generally kicked around. It does create a side effect. One of the side effects of the Naught is a run of bad luck. It's just something that seems to happen as the sphere of sensation starts to adjust. We're not quite sure why it is, but one of the suggestions is because the Golden Dawn uses the god forms of the 42 assessors of ancient Egypt, and these act as a form of balancing act. So effectively the candidate is told they can't get away with what they used to get away with, and they're forced to make changes. It's not that dramatic, and it sometimes doesn't happen at all, but generally we do notice that if there's going to be some change, we first see a glimmer of it in the Naught. It's from this grade also that there's a desire to do things differently, to approach things in a much more positive or magical way. The 110 grade, which is connected to the Earth grade, is one of the problematic grades of the order, and part of this is because, in my view, the way that it's presented in the Regardie books is the ritual's unbalanced, and it's unbalanced towards the earth element. Now, we've done in Moa, we did some correcting with this within using some unpublished Mathis documents, but generally we find that the 110 grade tends to affect the 12th, 1st and 2nd houses of a person's astrological chart. This can bring around depression, but it more often focuses on issues related to material stability. Sometimes, in a positive way, people will decide to look at their bodies and improve their look and their physical fitness. Sometimes there is a short illness that forces a person to look at their physical body. Sometimes it can be a trigger for something like a warning sign, an illness that could lead to something more serious if it wasn't caught sooner. Other times it's job losses or material problems, and this is where you don't want too many people within a temple going into the 110 grade. I know one case where a group all went through their 110 at the same time, all lost their jobs, and the temple had to close because there was a lack of finance. Generally, this is a tricky one if it's affecting your finances. Other people find that they have to lose weight, or they look at themselves and they think, my body is a temple, therefore I'm going to have to do something about it. It's usually that something that somebody has control of. You do have choice over your finances. You do have choice over your weight. And you do have choice over your health. Where it becomes tricky is where it influences the 12th house, and this can sometimes bring up dark secrets or things that we've repressed. These ones are harder to deal with for a candidate, and in any magical order there should be leaders and counselors effectively on standby for this particular problem. The 2-9 is connected to air and the 3rd, 4th and 5th house. We tend to notice that people become a bit ditzy during this particular grade. They become more airheaded. That doesn't mean they become stupid, it just means they become more in their own head than anywhere else. This is because the grade is to do with Nepesh, which provides powers like bravery, self-preservation, passion. But some of these unregenerative sides of the unconscious, such as violence, selfishness, and everything else, if these are latent within a person or repressed, they sometimes flare out. And Golden Dawn leaders should be aware of this and be helping. Family matters are also quite common, particularly if the person or the candidate has important connections to their parents. This initiation also starts to bring out the first stirrings of real magical power. Now, this power is often suppressed or locked up, but the initiation allows it to start to flow. This is what is often referred to as the first stirrings of Kundalini in the Indian tradition, but it's actually your own natural power. The 3 = 8 is connected to water, and it affects the 6th, 7th and 9th houses. In this grade, this is the grade where most relationships go on the rocks. It just seems to happen in this grade. And it's not logical, really, because if you think 3-8 is connected to Hod, there is no reason why people's relationships should suffer. But they do. And this is probably due to the houses which they play up in. The airheadedness of the 2 = 9 grade is replaced, but sometimes creates an emotional overbalance, with people feeling too intensely or much. Again, this is odd because we're dealing with Hod, which is supposed to be the intellectual air grade. But it seems that the Golden Dawn emphasizes the water aspect rather than the Hodian intellectual aspect. Now, this grade does become one of bringing powerful emotions under control, and this is probably what stresses relationships. But also, relationships tend to flare up, and you get a flag which indicates that there is trouble at this point. Mother issues are a major problem, and they tend to appear at this point too. Particularly, we find that candidates sometimes start to project these mother issues onto female temple members or their own close friends. The next grade is tricky because it's heavily influenced by the path of pay which connects to it. The 4 = 7 affects the 10th, 11th and 12th houses of the chart. Now, this means that Martian aspects come strongly to the fore. We find that if people have problems with anger, particularly repressed anger, it will come out now. Particularly if the object of your anger is no longer available, like your parents are dead or something like that, or you can't actually express that anger at them. Father issues are really strong in the 4=7 grade. It's here that women in particular tend to find these issues highlighted in their lives. It is also a time where you start to throw out old lifestyles and approaches, and you can either become more committed to the order or feel that a cycle is completed and leave. This is one of the big thresholds. The 4=7 seems to be a point where people start to think, well, I've done what I really want to do in magic. I want to go on and do something different, or I want a different order to be a member of. This is perfectly normal. It is also possible that they'll quit magic altogether, because in many ways they have become a more balanced individual. By going through these various initiations, a person has become more themselves, which is the goal of the outer order. So they think now's the time to end it, and sometimes they'll leave magic completely. The portal is a harder grade, and this varies between orders. That's because there are different portal rituals and different things emphasized within each ritual. The AO initiation is very, very simplistic and isn't really designed to have the same effect that something like the Stella Matutina ritual has. And the Magical Order of the Aurora Aurea is again different, slightly, from the Stella Matutina version. But the grade is tricky because it deals with all the things that were not dealt with in the outer order. Sometimes when you go through the grades, you don't quite get the lesson, you don't quite get the balance that you wanted out of them. So it's unlikely you'll go through the entire outer order without facing a single challenge. But if you did, its chances are because you failed to deal with it properly. So the portal deals with all those things, and some of the same problems come up again, and they have to be dealt with at this point. Other material which is suppressed or not noticed in the outer order comes out violently. It means it has to be paid attention to. So the portal, you're in the portal for 9 months, so you've got plenty of time to assess those aspects of your personality which don't quite work. This 9 months is a period of dramatic change, and it can take a long time to heal. We say 9 months minimum, but some people have been in it longer, and it's because they need that period of time in balancing. Others start to notice who they really are, and it was in the portal that I first realized who I was meant to be and stopped making compromises who I was meant to be. I also tend to realize that I'm a triple Leo, so any aspect of suppressing personality or trying to be meek and mild wasn't going to work for me. So I started saying what I thought, and that's sort of become my trademark ever since. What your portal will be something different to you, and it'll be unique. But whatever happens in the outer order, you will not be the same person that you were going into it. If you are, then there was something wrong. There was something wrong in the process, and it will be something that you will definitely have to deal with later on. That wraps it up for now. Sorry this is a bit stilted, but I'm still trying to work out the technology. See you soon. Bye.